You are listening to Witch Police Radio, and I am, as always, your host, Sam Thompson. No, I am not. I'm just kidding. My name is Stiff Wiggle. My name is Stiff Wiggle, and I will be guest hosting an episode for Sam while he takes a little bit of time away. He's been doing this show tirelessly for years and years and years, covering the nooks and crannies of Winnipeg's music scene, and he's handed over the mic to some of his buddies to help lighten the load. So I am here interviewing a band that I particularly enjoy, and I'm looking forward to getting a chance to talk to them about their upcoming release and their plans for the future. As is traditional, why don't I hand it over to you fellas and have you introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do.
We are Wonder, which is spelled with two V's, VVonder. That's always my big prerogative, is making sure people know how to spell it.
Google ability is important.
That's right.
Yeah, my name's Micah, and this is Joey. He plays bass, and I play bass, but not as much.
We're both bass. We're both just a couple of bass players.
Yeah. Originally, we wanted the band to have two bass players and a triangle player, but
that would sound nice.
But
nice.
Everybody thought that was just, there wasn't enough mids if you were doing it that way. So we had to fill out the mids. So I begrudgingly picked up the guitar again.
It's a tradition and it works for a reason. And why don't we pay a little lip service to the fellas that aren't here? There's a triangulist, as you mentioned. No.
Yeah.
But, who are the Wonderinos that are
we got
playing the home
Steve.
version tonight?
We got Steve Martins, not Steve Martin. Funny enough, Steve Martins has a cousin named Chris Martins.
No.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that?
Yeah.
So it's like a pseudo famous family.
Yeah.
Of fakers. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And then Nate Jacobucci is the keyboard player. We all sing.
That's great. And yeah, that's actually kind of, I guess, a pretty key element of your sound. What would you do? This is probably every artist's least favorite question, but how would you describe the style of music that you make if you had to? And you do have to, because I'm asking.
So I always tell people it's just like really 60s and 70s inspired pop rock, but like with a modern twist. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, and
I just like to say it's rock and roll, baby.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is just rock and roll.
And I mean, that says nothing, but it also says everything. If you were to listen to the group, and I insist that you do, that's what you'll get. You know, you're going to hear the sounds of the 60s and 70s with sort of a, refracted with a modern sensibility. And I guess maybe over the next little while, we'll try and elucidate what that means, but or maybe we won't. When it comes to the four of you, you all lend your voices to the band. Do you all have a creative influence? Or is this the Micah and Joey show, or what's the story here?
It's basically just the Micah show. It was the Micah show for the longest time. Okay. And then since the rest of us have joined, it's certainly become like the everybody show.
Yeah.
But I mean, he still does most of the songwriting. So.
Sure. But yeah, everybody's brought some ideas in for this new record.
So, do you all sit at home listening to the same records at the same time? Like tonight is Blonde on Blonde for everyone, or do you have your own musical tastes, or how does this work?
It's a good idea, but no, I think I try not to like chase it too much. Just certain things come along when they come along. Yeah, I've been really enjoying Randy Newman lately.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I think that comes out in the music. There's like, certain chord changes and just, harmonic figures that you use that really sort of plant things sonically back in that golden era,
Yeah. And when you and Nate have conversation, like you're not like literally listening to the same record at the same time, but you guys, I'm always impressed with how in tune you are with like whatever Paul McCartney's up to right now, or whatever Randy Newman's up to, or Brian Wilson. Like you guys, the two of you at least, like really seem in tune with like what's happening with those kind of older guys as they mature and continue making music.
Yeah. I don't know, I just really like that Smile thing that Brian Wilson did in 2004.
Did you see them when he came to town with his band of hired guns and the
that was really good.
that was a pretty special night. I was pretty, it seemed to arrive without much fanfare. I don't think it was sold out, right? It wasn't.
Where did he play?
Was it the Pantages or the
Pantages?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And actually, somebody gave me some kind of merch thing that was, I don't even know what it was, but Jeff from the Sound Exchange gave me $20 for this thing.
Wow. Yeah.
And then we went to me and my buddy went to Johnny G's after.
Nice.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
This is a primo Witchpolice material, by the way. These, obscure retro Winnipeg references that will make some 60-year-old, sit upright in his Eames lounger.
Yeah.
Sound Exchange was my favorite place for a long time.
That shopping at that store was a unique experience. It was, you were never really left alone, right? You were, you had little, the peanut gallery, that is to say, Jeff would always say, have comments to say about whatever it was you decided to pick up. And if you had the misfortune of picking up a Monkees record, he would, kind of, that would launch him on, it would become incomprehensible before long. But and the way that the records were laid out in stacks beneath piles. And,
yes,
I found the Emmett Rhodes album.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's so good, right? I figured you would know, because that's sort of place where you could find that thing, right? And where the records that that sold 20 copies back in the 70s, but people now speak about in hushed tones, dorks that look like me, So, yeah.
I just clued in. I didn't realize what the Sound Exchange was until 2 minutes ago when you guys were talking. Sure enough. So that place on Langside and Portage, or Furby and Portage.
Yes.
So Joey is the surrogate audience member who's sitting in for all of the listeners at home who are, who don't have all the hip background knowledge. So it's playing an important
role. I absolutely. But now, as soon as you mentioned this guy would just talk your ear off for 40 minutes, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
When the one time I went, I was in there a couple times, but one of the times he just talked to me. It was just me and him for an hour talking about music.
Yeah, if you hit the same wavelength, it would be a kind of a special experience. But if you weren't, if you happen to be on a different vibe, then it could be a pretty alienating,
just
sort of trip. But there was nothing like it, and there's nothing like it anymore now that it's gone, right? So
it's still sitting there. I don't know what's yeah.
It's probably still filled with all those records.
Yeah.
If anything's haunted in Winnipeg, it's probably that giant, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I went by there and it looked like the printer was still functioning, and I think maybe the ghost of Jefferson is in that printer.
Did he pass away?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it was really sad.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Well,
but the printer still works.
I think the ghost of Jefferson lives in the printer. That's my theory.
So like I was trying to allude to, I don't think I got a straight answer out of you folks. Do you all have different influences? What you are listening to different styles of music in your or are you all sort of Randy Newman fans? I presume that's never the case. Every band is, which of you is the death metal one? There's always one into death metal, right?
Yeah, I'm actually into death metal.
There you go. So it's you. Okay.
Or is it more black metal?
Oh, which is is it the black metal one, the same one as the death one, or are they different people?
I think I'm becoming more and more reserved about saying that I'm a black metal fan.
Boy, it's cool, man.
No, apparently some people think it's really creepy to be into black metal, which I kind of always knew. But now it's just some social media groups that I'm part of are alluding to the fact that it's really, and not that you should base your tastes on what other people think, but
right.
I don't know. Yes, I love black metal. I can't get enough of it. It's so atmospheric and creepy and raw sounding. And
yeah.
And the follow-up question is that, this doesn't necessarily make its way into the Wonder gumbo.
No, it definitely. I played in another band called Trampoline.
Right. Yes, and you folks are phenomenal. I actually recommend.
Oh, thank you.
My partner is a fan of this band called The Laps. Have you ever heard of The Laps?
I don't think so.
It's Ted Leo's brother, Christopher Leo, and Toko Yasuda, who used to play bass in Enon, and she played with Blood Redhead for like 5 minutes, and it's they make this really dense, abstruse music with very lyrical, illiterate, sort of ranting's not the word I want to use, but on top of it, and it kind of just really struck me. It's very similar to Trampoline. Not that this isn't an interview with Trampoline, but anyone out there who enjoyed at all what I sounded like I was describing there, that kind of almost describes both of those groups. So
no, I was just gonna say, like, Trampoline did incorporate, because like Michelle really liked that I liked metal,
right?
So we actually incorporated some like blast beats and stuff into our music. But for Wonder is such a, it just is a different thing. Like, we're more concentrated on just like rock and roll and like good harmonies and like wicked song structures and stuff. Like, it just wouldn't lend itself to this.
And Steve is in Trampoline as well, right?
Yeah.
And he gets to do his blast beats, and you get to do your metal outlet out that way, and so you don't have to tarnish this band with those.
Tarnish.
I mean,
tarnish is a good word.
I said varnish. I meant varnish, not tarnish. Sorry.
I like the idea of just playing what's right for the song, and I'm sure that in some way, some of that has inspired you,
possibly
in some very minor way, but like,
possibly.
And I think that's important. I think that there are a lot of retro-minded groups out there who have this sort of slavish attitude to what they're doing, where it's almost like if you're introducing something new to it, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but it's I think it's almost is it a natural thing for you to blend? I'm sure it is. This is just a dumb question that interviewers would ask. Is it natural for you to blend your the historical influences, your Randy Newman stuff, with the whatever modern listening that you do today, or do you have to kind of shoehorn them together? Does it just naturally occur? Because it does occur. Like what's Nothing Really Ever Matters? Is that the name of the song? Nothing Really Matters. Yeah, that song has a very that song has a pretty I couldn't place it in any decade specifically.
I liked what you said there, because it just going too far in either direction, right? Like, if we were to go too far in the direction of saying, well, we want to make sure that this is accessible and it has to conform to what's happening now, then I think that would be a disservice. But if we were to also say, well, we need to honor the traditions of the Beatles and the Stones and the Kinks and whatever, Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan, we have to stick in that place because that's the real stuff. And that's going too far in that direction as well. And they're both ego driven and doing a disservice to the natural creation, which if you just kind of shut up and let it take precedence, it will happen.
And are you getting better as time goes on with silencing the critic, or is that as an artist myself, I have to tell that voice that's always asking, is it good enough? Is this what I want to be saying? It's if I have to shut that up while I'm creating, and then I have to
yeah, for sure. Over time it is getting easier, especially playing with these guys. Like, they're they're so good, and there's just like I think there's hopefully a level of trust that we're all just gonna do the right thing. And if somebody has a suggestion, if it's the right suggestion, we go with it. If it's not, that's okay. Nobody's feelings are hurt.
This leads to my next question, actually, not to interrupt and not to pump his tires intentionally or anything, but Steve is a phenomenal drummer. What does it mean to you folks having such a shit hot drummer?
I've been playing with Steve for so long. I think I take for granted what a great drummer.
He's really good.
He's really good. He's really good. Yeah.
He's got this like Jimmy Chamberlain-esque lyrical way of playing the drums, where it's like like every fill is like almost like a sentence. I don't know.
Every once in a while there'll be like when we've been doing a lot of recording, and there's a couple fills that kind of just, like, I love it when a fill almost goes out of time a little bit and then just comes back. And he has a few of those, and he'll be like, "Oh, I don't know about that." And I'll be like, "Dude, it's cool, man."
I see.
Yeah.
Are you recording to click tracks when you record and doing it all the modern sort of way? Or do you?
Some of them we've had just Steve on the click. Some of them we've had all of us on a click. At some point it would be fun to try no click, but
Yeah, I like the recording process of having the drummer on a click for sure. But then, as far as I'm concerned, I don't need to have it. If he's got it,
Yeah.
then I don't need it. Like
For
I'm just
sure.
playing.
Yeah.
I'm playing with his hi hat and
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like the idea of being like, yeah, like being in time, but also having a little bit of ebb and flow and not quantizing everything.
Yeah. Do we do quantize any? Do quantize? What's the word?
Quantize? We haven't
Quantize?
quantized anything yet.
Nothing. Oh,
No.
cool.
I mean, there've been a couple of times when I've, you nudge something here and there.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I think I've done that so far on this record. I think I did that once with a vocal.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I would have figured like the bass player like
on this new record that we're working on.
This
on
new record. Oh, hey,
on
this
the
is an
first
opportunity for a segue. A new record. Oh my god.
on the first one, we did that with one of the drum fills in one of the songs because
okay.
it just needed a little nudge. But
okay.
yeah, for the most part, I think it's cool when it's just that little bit of loose, but
Yeah.
still tight. I think I think the band speaks to each other more.
Yeah,
when it's
and then
not all.
something I forget. Sorry, you can do your segue in just a second. But something
Thank you.
I always I always forget how we'll do the bed tracks, like we'll record the bed tracks, like the four of us just playing live.
Yeah.
And it might not sound perfect, but then when you start layering things on top of those bed tracks,
Yeah.
it all starts to meld together in such a beautiful way. And I guess I just need to do a better job reminding myself that it is going to get there, even if the bed tracks weren't like the perfect take or
trust the process, right?
Yeah.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
There's always that inevitable moment where like last week I was recording a bunch of guitars and I did the same thing over and over and over, and then I realized, oh, this part does not need to be in the song. It's driving me crazy because it doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
So you throw it out and then you're okay. But sorry, you had a segue.
I mean, the segue was just me moving to an opportunity for you to talk about what you're doing now, which is, probably a good thing to do while you're on the show, right? So,
Sure.
yes, your last release, your last full length Now and Again has been out there, percolating for some time. It's it makes up, I guess, the bulk of your, charming live sets. But there's something new coming around the corner. Tell us a bit about what that is.
Well, we don't have a name for the album yet. And putting it out there, if anybody has any ideas, we may not use them, but it's a way to get a conversation started.
I thought you were set on it was something embarrassing, something dumb, but I thought you really liked it.
Oh, I like that. You can call it something embarrassing, something dumb.
Yeah, we have
new album by Wonder.
We have a single coming out July 12th, and then if this airs after that, then play it. If it doesn't, find it when it comes out.
So how things evolved in the last Now and Again came out when?
Like November 22. Yeah.
So mid pandemic, and
yeah,
here we are 2024 mid pandemic, and the next album's coming out.
Do you consider us still a mid pandemic?
No, I would just that was dry humor.
Okay, because some people do.
Yeah. I know. I'm not. Well, I will leave that uncomfortably hanging in the air, and I'll let the listeners, decide.
Okay. Nice. I like that.
There you go.
No opinion.
That's right. I don't want to. Yeah. Who likes to take a stance on anything? It's 2024.
Yeah, apathy is the real vibe.
Yes, this is not a political podcast, folks.
Yeah.
So the new music is it more of the same, or is there anything any new tools in the box that have any new fantastic musical instruments been invented in the last few years that have revolutionized your process? I don't think so. So how do you make the new record? How does it justify its existence besides being more new songs?
I don't know.
It's I think the natural progression for me, at least, is to just slowly let go of things that aren't important. When I was young, I thought if I had a lot of chords in a song, that made it good. At one point, I thought, the lyrics have to be really deep. At one point, I thought, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. The longer we go along, the less I start focusing on these things that it needs to be or it doesn't need to be, and just let it be what it is.
This is talking about that inner critic I was mentioning about
Yeah,
5-6
yeah.
minutes ago. Yeah, and it's how I have to turn it off if I'm creating, and by doing so, you're more productive, and the stuff you do produce is so much less fussy, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that does happen. That is a tendency of this, this retro-minded music. It is still sometimes a little bit too manicured. It comes out a little too Paul McCartney and not John Lennon enough, So
yeah,
right. So fighting that tendency is probably beneficial to the quality of the music. So that that makes me enthusiastic to listen to the new stuff, because the major failing of this type of music, not yours in particular, is that it can be a little precious, right? And so right, and that's that wears thin. But Wonder, I've always found them there, and especially it's really sarcastic, sardonic, angry, bitter stuff, and the music is really nice and pretty, and that's a time that's an like we've had that tasty flavor combination for a good 40 years, and it's stuck around for a reason. It makes for really compelling listening, right? You just fall in love with the sound of the music, and then you realize what it's about, and then it breaks your bloody heart. It's good. I love your stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's
but also I would say, like, there's just like an inner compulsion. This is nothing groundbreaking, but when you're a songwriter or a creator, like, it would be silly to just be like, well, we did one record, that's good enough. Like, there's always a compulsion to keep creating. And like when these songs come to you, it's not like you're even thinking of in terms of like, we're going to put we need to have like 12 songs right out of the gate to do a record. Like, the songs just kind of come gradually. Sure. And there's always a reason for them in the moment. You're always trying to express yourself as best as you can. And I don't know. I think there's a reason why artists have like, some artists have like really long discographies. You'd think that you'd think maybe they got everything out of their system within the first 3 records, but no, it's just, if you're that kind of person, you're always going to keep creating.
And I think maybe now we take our inevitable turn towards Winnipeg and what makes the city kind of an interesting place for music to be made in. One thing that I find characteristic about our music scene is the incestuous nature of it. How everyone, like you're in multiple bands, and Micah, you have played in a number of acts over the years, and right. So, in many artist situations, they get one shot, one project that sort of defines them throughout their career. But in Winnipeg, as an artist, you're going to have all these different hats that you wear through your career. You have these hats that you wear throughout your career, and so you don't have to say it all in one project. So, not to say that Wonder has had its day, but to say that once you folks have said all you have to say, you're going to be still making music together, maybe not together though, but in different projects. That's kind of just the Winnipeg way, right? So it's good to see you folks together, because it says that you folks have more to say. I feel like in Winnipeg, you folks wouldn't keep playing together if there wasn't still excitement when you gathered in the room and stuff like that. So of course artists are going to continue on to releasing, but when things have reached their limit, I think in Winnipeg more so than other places, people will just say, well, okay, my side project is now the main project, and so
right. It does. I guess to an extent that is kind of true what you said. Like, sometimes is a challenge to have that not be the case. Like, the first band I was part of, like way back in 2004, was the Waking Eyes. And still, like, my relatives, for example, like, they're not really in the know with things that are happening currently. So they're still like, oh, those Waking Eyes, like, that was really exciting when you guys you were nominated for a Juno, and oh my goodness, that was so exciting. So in their mind, that's where I began and ended.
Was that
not really, but
was that the Combs for the Clouds era, or was that the major label part, or which?
I joined right after they finished recording their first major label record.
Okay, my brother he absolutely adores that stuff. So he still listens to it this day. So such as you never know when you put that was going to stick with with folks. Right?
But if we were living, like, let's say I lived in Toronto or Vancouver, like a city that's harder to just get by in, I might have thrown in the towel after that. But because we're in Winnipeg, where it's relatively affordable to live here, there are so many great musicians, some of which are your good friends who just want to play in a band with you. Like, the capacity to move on and be part of other projects is a lot, or one's capacity is a lot, it's a lot more doable here than it would be like in a really competitive, like dog eat dog kind of city.
I thought of something when you said that about your family, like the way they sort of wrapped it up. Like that was, they put it all in a nice little box, and people like to do that. It's like, this is something I understand. This makes sense. I can comprehend this. I like the idea of putting stuff out there that defies those kinds of expectations, but there's still something familiar enough for people to relate to, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it really does. You know, I mean, artists have an opportunity to do that. Once you have captured somebody's attention long enough for them to want to come back and hear more from you, you have to you can give them more of the same, which is kind of, well, you know, that's almost a disservice to the fans, the people who've invested in your full you, your complete you, and who want to see you explore every corner of your creative self, right? So yeah, and I hope that Winnipeg allows more people to do more of that.
Yeah,
and,
treat the audience like they're smarter than I am, because they probably are.
Every so often, you know? So there's a couple more things that I wanted to discuss before we wrap things up here. This has been a wide-ranging and fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course.
I've been sitting with Micah and Joey from Wonder, and this is Stiff Wiggle sitting in for Sam Thompson on Witchpolice Radio. I wanted to ask you about, I think, a pivotal moment in your artistic arc, which was the bus bench advertisement that you placed in front of the University of Winnipeg for a period of time a few years ago. What was that about? How did you? That was genius. Did that? What was the return on investment on that one?
I don't know.
Your appreciation.
Yeah, basically.
There we go.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just thought it seemed like just.
I think it might have been my idea.
Yeah, I mean, it just. It just seemed like an interesting thought.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that it was
so simple.
It was just affordable enough to be worth considering. I'm guessing is the key element. That's what I would assume how the decision would go. Right? It's like, is this worth doing? And then you look at the price, and then the decision makes itself.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I think it was $300 for like a month,
something like that. Yeah,
a month on a bus bench.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
like I say, it was a corner, like a watershed moment, I think, in the Wonders story. And I think if we didn't mention it in this episode, some fans would be really livid. So
stay tuned. Stay tuned for more zany promotional hijinks.
Yeah.
You have some ideas.
I have some ideas.
Yeah, but we're not going to share them here.
Okay.
Well, you have to.
I can share. I can share the one that we totally put the kibosh on.
Okay.
Oh,
I thought it would be really cool. Maybe cool is not the right word, but I thought it'd be really effective if the four of us dressed exactly like the Beatles did on Abbey Road, like on the cover of Abbey Road. And then we go to intersections throughout the city, like busy intersections during rush hour, and just walk across the intersection just like they did. And it's not like we're holding a sign that says anything. We're just four guys who look like the Beatles doing the Abbey Road thing in front of like a lot of people. And then eventually somebody would take a video of it. Eventually it would show up on TikTok. Be like, what's going on? And then somebody who knows us would be like, that's Wonder. I know them. That's Wonder. Right. And the thing, they would just go viral.
I think my idea was that we do it naked, and then nobody wanted to do it.
That could be.
That's right. They would confuse you for the Chili Peppers. It wouldn't.
Except they have really firm physiques.
Yeah.
And appropriately sized socks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So I think that covers just about everything that needs to be covered. Where do people find more
Beautiful.
about, where do people get the latest information about Wonder on the web? I figured you have a Bandcamp page. If you like to support local music folks, hit up Bandcamp. Wait until the next Bandcamp Friday if you're feeling especially, you know, courteous, and then 100% of your money goes to the artists. And
Mhm.
Yeah, we're in all the usual places, except Twitter. I guess it's called X now. We were just, yeah, we don't have
it's
X.
still weird.
Yeah.
It's still weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
No X, no Threads, but
Yeah.
Instagram, TikTok,
Yeah.
Facebook,
Yeah.
Bandcamp.
And that's, how do you spell that band name again? One more time.
VVonder.
There you go, folks. Well, thanks so much for listening. Tune in next time for more great conversations with more great Winnipeg musicians. And until then, stay out of trouble.
Thank you very much.
All right. I'm